All right. I don't know if anybody's going to join this, but I just started a live on YouTube, and that's why my podcast just started a little late. I'm also live on TikTok. I don't think anybody's going to pick up this, and I think people would be interested. But I'm going to do my new episode of my podcast right now. I'm sitting on the floor as usual, just talking into a microphone. A guy wanting to talk about life. I haven't started reading my notes yet because no, you know what? I'm going to start reading my notes right now because I remember what the start of it is. I hope TikTok stays live. Um, all right, so yeah, it's going to be difficult. I'm going to have to go back and forth. So I said, this is the perfect intro because I forgot the perfect intro. This is what it's like to be me. I have plenty to say here, and I have notes, but I want to introduce this by saying I'd like some empathy. I don't think you guys know how real it is I forget my words so quickly. It sucks. I feel like I just want to talk with smart people to get things going. I see things in ways people don't. Is that because I don't have bias because I've reached that point? I thought before that it's because of my autism. That's not written down. I thought that I do believe that I can look at things without bias, but that's not true. It's my autism 1,000%. That's how I know that I'm self-diagnosed autistic because I see things in a way that nobody I talk to does. Every time I talk with somebody, I can present them something. Maybe it's just about themselves. Maybe it's the fact that they are an inspiring human being, or maybe it's the fact that they came on too strong. Or maybe it's I'm an observer. I observe without bias, and I can provide valuable information that's not what you want to hear, but it's the fucking truth. And how many people have a problem with the truth? Nearly everybody on the fucking planet. I will invite any single human being to come on my podcast, and I will prove you are not as truthful as me, or you are as truthful as me, and we will have the most interesting conversation that has ever been had in the history of man, in my fucking opinion. But that being said, let me get back to what I was reading. So now I can stop typing and start talking because I'm off on a tangent. See how that works? And I'll probably go in a better direction than I intended to before. Better than my notes, in my opinion. But being able to not remember your thoughts and plans and things you learn and see is tough. It's been so hard to learn anything but recitable knowledge. But I feel I've been able to attain so much more. Now mention computer up. So this is where my ADHD starts betraying me and starts saying, "Oh, do this, do this, do this," which I can do all of it if I have the notes. But now mention computer update. Okay, I couldn't get on. I was so excited to record all of this that I haven't even gotten into the point where I wanted to what I wanted to start talking about. But this is what came to me while I was waiting for my computer to update. Basically, I was so excited. I had my opening line, and then I forgot. And then computer update became the opening line that I thought I forgot, but there was something else. Now, which was your intro. You forgot. No, it wasn't. You remembered once you stopped trying to focus on what to talk about. That is true. So no more of this. Just listen to the show. And I was frustrated, and I was shouting to my fiance. I was like, "Hey, my computer won't update." She's like, "Hey, well, at least the guest's not waiting." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's a good point." And then I calmed down. So she was able to help me. But I said, no more of this. Just listen to the show. What? You never know what I'm going to say. Oh, that's right. I'm saying I don't want to have to explain myself anymore. My forgetting, my autism, I'm just a guy that wants to talk to people. And I think that's interesting. And I think we can have interesting conversations. And I don't think you need to be somebody famous to have an interesting conversation. And I think if you pick any of my random podcasts that I've recorded and you go back and watch them, you would think it's interesting. It presents different opinions and different options, but the thing is that I don't see my opinions as opinions anymore. I see them as facts until somebody can convince me otherwise. And that's probably one of the notes that I put in here, or something along those lines. And so now I'm off on a tangent again, and I don't need my notes because I can talk. I can talk about all of this stuff. I wrote new poems. Hey, how about I just read my poems? Why not? Fuck it. All right, so I'm going to pull up my poems. Now I'm off on a tangent. I think I remember what the intro was. I want this to be a short podcast, but that means, it could go on for 5 minutes, which is where I would stop now. But I can just clip this, and then I'm going to actually start the podcast where I'm being live. And I don't know if TikTok is watching because I need my screen. So I guess I have to pull TikTok up on my camera or on my computer, which is crazy to me because that's how good I am at technology, people. I want to make a podcast that uses lots of technology, but I can't use the technology. I need somebody to take my recording and say, hey, if you watch this, you'll be entertained. That's what I need. So I'm just going to leave that there. I've said it in multiple podcasts. What was I pulling up? I don't even remember. I remember it was important, but I got distracted. It couldn't have been anything too poetry. Yay. See, I can get there. But that's how quickly you can forget. There's another example. Okay. I don't know how to explain this to you. So here we go. So I have to read you the one about boundaries before I read you the one about love. Boundaries. Nothing is more important. Boundaries protect your known or unknown traumas, your pride, your peace, and your fears. Boundaries are like fingerprints. No two are alike. Our boundaries reflect our minds, our experiences, and our dreams. Boundaries, though, like everything else in life, require balance. If your boundaries are too strong, no one can ever know you, and you will feel alone, bitter, and hateful. If your boundaries are too weak, you will be used, manipulated, and easy to forgive. Your boundaries decide your future, your fate, and your love. Choose wisely. I know that's a clip. It brings tears to my eyes because I can help people, okay? I want people to come on my show that are having trouble in their relationship. I want to be a therapist for 2025 on that episode, talk to people and tell them the real shit. I'm not here to tell you, oh, you suffer from this, and I may diagnose that. I may not. I am not a trained therapist. I am not pretending that I'm as smart as a psychologist or educated on this. But I always, ever since I was young, this is something I've never talked about, and I did this just. I mean, I've talked about. Well, no, I mentioned this to a few people recently. I wanted to be a therapist when I was in my teens. But you know what stopped me? My autism. That voice in my head that went, hey, you need to, what happens when you want to be a therapist, buddy? When you want to be a psychologist, number one, you got to go to school. Remember how much we hate school? You're going to have to go to college and you're going to have people tell you everything they know. And you're going to have to memorize it, even though you are mystified by the brain. You can learn these things about how the brain operates, the amygdala, the limbic, whatever, or you can just deal with the emotions and the ba 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 ba. So that wasn't as far as my head went, but that's where I am now. So that's me diagnosing myself, which I do often, which is very useful, which I would recommend to anyone who has the capacity to do so. If you don't feel like you have the capacity to do so, be the next guest on my podcast. I'll record you tomorrow. I will make the time if I can. I'm trying to get back into work soon, but I will be flexible. So I'm gonna forget my train of thought. I'm literally gonna forget my train of thought live on camera because I'm trying to do it without my notes. I'm trying to talk about it just plainly and as my ADHD brain goes, because I explained at the beginning how I forget things, but that wasn't anybody's fault. That literally happens to me when I'm on a thread of a thought. And that's why I was so excited about that rich thread, because I had completed a thread that I had months ago that it was one of the ones where I lost my thought. And so if I could go back right now and watch what I said, I could finish the thought. But when I go back, if I ever go back and watch this and see that, then I will, all right, let's make a note, I guess. Don't forget to go back and watch at around 9 minutes. Yeah, around 9 minutes on podcast. So you can finish thoughts if it doesn't come back. Because I was on a roll. All right. So I'm going to get into the podcast now. The podcast that I wanted to do in the first place before I felt like I had to justify myself. I watched a movie today. Okay, before that, I have had new ideas. I thought of two new podcasts that I want to do. I want to do a podcast where I play heavy metal and talk about the lyrics and talk about the feelings behind the lyrics and help people understand empathy. Okay. What that podcast will do is if you don't have empathy, it will make you feel something because you can't not feel when you listen to heavy metal fucking lyrics. Okay. Let's play one right now. You know what? Yeah. Fuck it. I'm gonna pull up another YouTube if I can. I think I can. I know I can. I won't even play the heaviest one. But let's play a good one. We gotta go there. Let's see. Here. You know what? I'll play the love song. Well, no, that's not. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, even those I'm trying to prove something. See, this is my indecisiveness, my ADHD, but yeah, just go with yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Okay. Okay. No, not covers. Yeah, we want a lyric video because we want to see this. Okie dokies. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to watch a video, which will probably get this podcast taken down at some point. But because I'm so damn tiny, nobody's going to know about it. So I don't care. And then by that time, I've gotten you a lot of free publicity if it's reached that point. So I'm sure you were fine. Okay. This one looks pretty cool. And USAA is good. I'm glad they got the free advertisement. Never going to do this again on this podcast. And the sound is terrible. I got to do something about that. So let's stop right there. Okay. And we don't need to listen to anymore because that's already quite enough. So the no one's gonna come and rescue me. Oh God, see, I can't. I'm so bad at remember. I know the lyrics. No one's gonna come and rescue me. I'm drowning in my sleep. The scars have gone too deep. So let's investigate that just for a second. No one's gonna come and rescue me. I'm drowning in my sleep. How vocative is that? How people feel that, okay? You don't. Be lucky because people do. People who write heavy metal lyrics and who do podcasts about feelings feel that deep. People who go to metal shows and fucking fight for the front row and scream and yell and make bracelets for their favorite fucking metal bands. Those people feel that deeply. So if you don't, That is a gift and a curse, okay? Just as much as feeling that deeply is, okay? That's why I said in my very first poem, is it a curse to feel this deeply? Is it a gift or a curse to feel this deeply, I think? Because you don't understand. If you don't feel, you can't feel what I'm telling you. I'm literally telling you that the thing that gives me my strength is my biggest enemy and my strong and my biggest weakness. Okay? Because navigating my emotions nearly killed me. That's why I talk about how I felt back in December. That's why I talk about that, is because I don't want anybody to ever reach that again. And I want people to learn from my experience. If you get that depressed, it's because I mean, there are many mitigating factors, but I believe the root of it is because your brain has convinced you that you were to go down a path that you weren't supposed to. Because if you were in a different position, you wouldn't feel this way. If you had different knowledge, if you had different experiences, if you had looked at something a different way, you could have been in a different place that's much happier. And what does that boil down to? Being honest with yourself, which is why I want to talk about a movie that I watched today. It's called Oh Hi, OHHI. And oh my God, I just got the reference to the sign that they mention. Holy cow, this movie is amazing. Okay. So, first off, I just want to say I wrote this note up higher, but I think it was Kathy Brooks and who else? See, this is the problem when I write my notes. This is yesterday. Yeah, okay. No, it was above here. Oh, I put it in a thread. That's right. But you know who you. Well, I should say it. No, I'm just gonna pull up threads. See, this is the annoying part. I have to justify and show, but I also have to tag it. I don't know. Sophie Brooks, and Molly Gordon. Okay, they were the two writers, and I'm not surprised this was written by a woman. This is why I say women are the better species. Because I would identify more as a woman than I do as a man. Okay. I never thought I'd say that on the podcast, but I do. And the reason for that is men men are traditionally just dumb. We get in our own heads and we make ourselves our worst enemy. Okay. Let me tell you a story. And I hope two people I know listen to this podcast. I was introduced to a wonderful person who I get along with, and we recognize each other as neurodivergents, and we're not the same people by any stretch of the imagination, but we share our time with each other, and when we do, it's a very enjoyable thing. And so we don't know what to do with that. I don't think. I don't know. Uh, like if we go on vacation together, if we, but we don't hang out much because we're neurodivergent, because she has a daughter who has special needs, who is, I don't know the proper term, so I don't offend anybody, but she's higher needs than me as autistic. Okay. But she's getting great care now. And that's also something that I want to talk about, that I want to have people on. I want to talk about these success stories like Kerry Magros. Is that his name? I emailed him last night, assuming that his PR people will get back to me and just be like, "Thanks so much for listening." And he charges Kerry Magro. Yeah, Kerry Magro. I don't know exactly what it is. I came upon him, and he's an autism motivational speaker, which I absolutely support. Apparently, he was nonverbal for a long time. And now he's become he started forming sentences 5 years later after being nonverbal for, it's like 30 years ago. 35 years ago, it said. I can't pull up that thread, that Instagram again, but and now, 6 years ago, he got his doctorates, and he's given. I want to talk to that guy. I want to talk to that guy for hours, but I don't have the resources. But I guarantee you, if I could talk to that guy, we would have an amazing conversation, because holy cow, who knew about that guy? Who knew that there is a guy out there who was nonverbal and has become a doctor and is given motivational speeches? That guy can give us a story. That guy can talk about feelings. And he might not have feelings. There are some autistics out there that think totally binarily. And I feel like I talked to one the other day. I feel like my last conversation, as I told you, sir, I do believe you are highly autistic. But that's a good thing. That's a good thing when you can identify that, because that's what allowed me to pull my mask off and save myself. So anyway, getting back to the movie Oh Hi. Holy cow, is that the best movie I've seen in a long time. It is a comedy first, but it is the first romantic comedy that I've ever seen that actually has romantic advice in it. It's a real situation. Everybody acts like they would in real life, potentially based on the characters, and it is funny. It is as funny as like the 40-year-old virgin or something like that. It's up there for me. But the messages in it and the lessons that it teaches you, and the root of that lesson is: be honest. Be honest with yourself about what you don't like about yourself and what you want out of life, and decide which of those is greater. I've never said that, and I'm going to mark that right now, because I feel like that was a big one. Anyway, I try not to do that during the podcast, but I gonna do it. So it is what it is. So let's get back to the note, because I've kind of lost my train of thought. I said I'm gonna gush more about Ojai. So I think, let's see here. Where's the? Oh yeah, that was before. Oh yeah, see, these were the notes before I started writing the intro. Yeah, I got to go back up to that after I finish the intro. Yeah, this is gonna be a long one, guys. I'm gonna have to clip this shit out of this, but I hope somebody feels it. I hope somebody sees it. You know what? No, no, it's my next episode. Thanks for joining us on AutisticPod. If you have no, I'm gonna go a little farther. Ugh. You see, I don't know how to do this. I feel like I should have been. I feel like I should cut it short. I feel like I should leave you wanting more. But I've diagnosed in myself that I'm just a child who wants to show people my toys. And you know what my favorite toy to play is? With my brain. My brain. I love playing with my brain. I do love killing my brain, apparently, as well. But that's the risk you take. So I love the taste of a good old fashioned. I love the way weed makes me feel. And now that I've gotten a little bit into the podcast, I can say I'm on 20 milligrams, you know, because it centers me. So let's get back to my notes. We'll go a little longer until I feel like I've said enough, because I want it to be clear that my message is, my podcast is going to talk about things you don't hear anywhere else. Okay. Try me. Just give the next podcast a try, or listen to a previous podcast. Listen to the podcast where I brought on a nutritionist to talk about nutrition, and she ended up being a Ukrainian refugee who had to flee. I've talked about this multiple times. I had a deaf Navy SEAL, who was retired. I don't know. He might have been a Marine. I always get it mixed up because I'm ADHD. There's no disrespect. I respect all the military forces, but I do. My parents were in the military, and I can see what the military, provides a person, and they are very driven and dedicated people that did that did great things. That's something that a lot of people talk about, that like their parents fucked them up. My parents did the absolute best they could. They tried, you know. Do I have shit? Absolutely. Does everybody else? Absolutely. Everybody's parents are responsible for a little teeny ball that will, you push your thumb in too hard. Not talking about, like a head, but you push your thumb in too hard, and there you leave a lifelong bruise because our parents. And so this is the new clip I want to do. You ready? Anybody out there who has had parents that didn't do right by them, that was not fair to you, but it wasn't a reflection of you. It was a reflection of your parents dealing with their own trauma. It's not an excuse, but it is an explanation. And explanations can give us more information to make informed decisions about ourselves and about our futures. And just because your parents fucked up and did bad things, whether it be absolutely severe or simply didn't give you enough love or whatever, they were human beings too. They were just children who grew into adult bodies and made the best decisions they could with the information they had. And some of that information is in your head, and some of that information is from the experiences you've had. So hopefully this experience gives you that help to hear that it wasn't your fault, that you are a product of your environment and your choices. You can always make new choices. You have the power. And there's the clip. Let's get back to the notes. Yep. Nope, that's oh hi. Okay, so I got to get back up to that, and then once I finish talking about oh hi, unless I had another note, I'll stop. You never know what I'm going to say. If I don't make one good point that makes, oh yeah, if I haven't and don't make one good point that makes you see things differently today, you'll never like my show. But if I do make one, think about watching me every week. If I make 3 or 4, come on, guys, you are my people. I need your feedback and your help spreading my message, please. I don't know what else to do. And off we go to talk about computer updates. This is the thing that's hard to script, is the having to show you why you should listen. Judge me by my content, not my marketability, please. I posted that on Threads and Blue Sky. I feel like that is a philosophical thing, but it doesn't belong on social media. Where else can I put it? Judge me by my content, not my marketability, because the world has become about marketability. The world has become about how can we sell this? How can we make money from this? That's not what I'm about. I am not for sale. I am a voice that calls things as they sees them, and I'm available for communication. I challenge anyone who thinks they are happy in their life to come on my podcast, because you will find either you are or you have hidden shit, because I can get down in there real quick if anybody wants to go there. But I don't think you do. I don't think that if you watch this podcast, you say, if he has that confidence, I don't really want to talk to him because I'd be too embarrassed. I might cry. I might actually relieve some of the tension that is inside me and make me feel better. That wasn't planned. And that could be the end of the episode. But again, I'm going to keep going. I don't know where the fuck I was. Come on, guys, you are my people. I need your feedback. Off we go talking about the judgment by my content. Yeah, okay, this is not much more. I'm going to tell you new TV to watch, and we're going to talk about our feelings, but not in a woo-woo way, in a logical, provable way. Funny how that led right into it, right? I wish I could have planned that. I wish I could be that devious. When I see people doing that on movies and television and in real life, it impresses me. When I see the ability of Republicans to pull the wool over people's eyes and convince them that letting the fox in the henhouse is the best idea possible, by that I mean rich people, it's crazy. And that's why I came to that conclusion. That's why I was really proud of that idea, because I explain why I have that thought. I explain it to a scientific, logical standpoint. As I've said, I'll just summarize it. I don't know if anybody's watching on YouTube at this point. Probably not. I can't even tell. I don't know. I don't see any comments, but I am still live on YouTube, and I'm probably live on TikTok, but they're just getting a view of my ceiling, but they can still hear me, but nobody's watching. Why? Why don't people watch? I feel like this is interesting. This is much better than keeping up with the Kardashians, or because that's not going to teach you anything in life. It turns off your brain. It teaches you how to not think. Okay. And I've got a quote for that. And this wasn't a plan. I'm pretty sure it's just judgment is easy, thinking is hard. Is that what it is? That's why most people judge instead of think. That sounds right. But I don't remember who the quote is. I think it's Jung. I think it's Carl Jung. See, I've put together like a list of 121 motivational and yeah, thinking is difficult. That is why most people judge. See how better he worded that? And that's one of the things that I've talked about. Okay, let's end the show on this. Yeah, because I can be this ADHD person. I can be brutally honest. I can be autistic. I can be somebody who says anything on here, practically. I have my limits, but they're pretty just outside of the bedroom. But the yeah, so I'm going to lose my train of thought on that one. But I think I was just wrapping up and talking. The last thing I was going to talk about was what was I going to shoot? See, live again. I had it. I won't need to go back. I'll remember. I can pull this. Come on. What was it? And now the more I think about, see, you think I'm making this up. I forget it. What was I talking about? Dang it. Come on. Prove you can get it back. All right. What were we talking about? Oh, I think I remember. Well, kinda. It was like about getting help. It was in that range. I think that's where I was leading to. But I was gonna say it all flowery and pretty. But what I really am is a guy who is super autistic in the way that he can see emotions as data. That is a new note, if I can remember it, but I go back to it 32 minutes. That's defining me. I don't remember exactly how I said it, and I liked how I said it. I remember the gist. Yeah, I'm a super autistic in emotions. Yeah, kinda. Yeah, I see them as data and can prove them. I think yeah. That probably doesn't mean anything to anybody, but that means the world to me. That's going to change my podcast. That's going to maybe affect the future of how I do this. But I don't see any other podcast offering you what I can offer you. I am somebody who comes on, who talks to regular people, who talks about anything from neuroscience to politics to movies to a show. That's the other podcast I want to do. I want to do a whole podcast on the show Pluribus because that is in line to become the best show of all time. I'll just tackle a little bit of it. Let me read you the notes that I. Oh, are these gonna have spoilers? Yeah, these will have spoilers. All right, so let me see what I can come up with on the fly. It's always okay. So let's talk about Pluribus without getting into the details. I mean, it's tough. The way I explained it when I showed it to my parents was I don't know how to explain it. It's very complicated. Um, for Rick and Morty fans, if you know the episodes with Unity, it's Unity. You find that out pretty quickly. And then you'll appreciate the fact that I told you that because that will intrigue you to the show. But people who don't know that, it's not going to mean anything. So but it's still different. But it's the same concept. It's like, but only 13 or 16 people or something like that aren't affected, and one of them is the protagonist that we follow, who is, oh, first of all, this show's written by Vince Gilligan. Okay, that's the guy that did Breaking Bad. Anybody who's not watching this show is a fool, because Breaking Bad was unbelievable. Okay, me in my dissecting TV movies, that would be a dream get. I want to talk to Vince Gilligan about anything he wants to talk about, but I want to direct the conversation, because that's what I learned on my last podcast. When I bring on a guest, I need to be more interview, and I need to be more like, you know, maybe critical. No, I don't want to. It's not critical. See, this is where trying to explain things in an honest but scary way hurt is so difficult, because you're going to misunderstand me, I feel like. And I'm so often misunderstood. People think they know me. I talk online and I'm just a white guy with a podcast. Have you ever heard a podcast like this? Would it matter if I was black? Would it matter if I was a woman? I identify more with women. Does that help? That's not even a plan or a choice. But I just want a chance to talk to people, and I want people to listen. And I have the people lined up. I have, people who, let's go through them. This is where we'll end. Here we go. I had more to say about Ojai and everything. It's just an amazing movie. Go watch it. It's just a movie. You watch movies. It's an hour and 30 minutes long. And then if you want to come back and talk about it, leave a comment, and I will do the podcast I had planned for Ojai that will teach you how that. Let me go back and just read real quick. Can discuss Ojai manipulation and my rules. Okay, yeah, this was the original. This is when I first started Ojai, and I thought that that the boyfriend was a philanderer. I saw it immediately, but I thought that when his mom called, it wasn't his mom. This doesn't give anything away. This is within the first 3 minutes, but I thought it wasn't his mom, which it probably wasn't, which was what they were implying. And I feel like he might have even had sex with the strawberry girl. But anyway, um, yeah, that's more stuff. I said, I have no plan. I'm just interviewing the people who come on. I said, Ojai should be required watching for anyone wondering if they're in a bad relationship and why. Shows how someone can pretend they're amazing when you first meet them, but be completely different once the mask falls off. Getting seen on social media is over unless you pray to the status quo. I believe that, because I'm not saying things that people want to hear, because I'm not monetizable, because they can't make money off me, so nobody cares, and everybody's going to be too afraid that it's going to come out of my mouth. If anybody hears this podcast, any real person who could come on the podcast and actually challenge my previous challenge, which I've already forgotten what it was, something about just come on the podcast and let's see how honest you are. And that doesn't mean I'm going to ask you embarrassing questions like I did with Matt Brandyberry. I said, and this is for the heavy metal. When I found out that he had put out a video that said like he didn't want to go on tour because he's dealing with so much, I wanted to reach out and give him a hug, and I wanted to talk to that guy. I wanted him to, because if nothing else, I'm not trying to heal him. What I'm trying to do is bring him on and have him tell you what that feels like, because I have felt something in that regards. He probably feels it even greater than I have, and that makes me weep, because I can't even imagine the level that makes you, feel that way. And so that's why I would interview him. And the I've mentioned Ollie Sykes before. I've mentioned, everybody's interview would be different, because I respect your boundaries, and I show you what happens when you respect people's anger, fear, pride, or peace, or known or unknown traumas. I did not anger, fear, pride, peace, and known or unknown traumas. anger comes from one of those things. So I can teach you how to not be in an argument. Just don't allow yourself to be triggered and controlled by someone's words. Words are words. Words. If I say, oh, I'm gonna come to your house and kill you, what does it mean? Do I have your address? Do I know your? I mean, where? I mean, just judge things based on the level of threats, physical threats, because words don't threaten you. If somebody tells you your mom is fat, so what? Either she's fat or she's not. What is it? Why are you so worried about that? And that's not really one of the things that I think I'm gonna, die on a hill on, but it's one of the things that I see. And then I'll I don't remember if I now I've totally petered out, and now the and I've seen the picture of the ADHD uh, you know the brain thread, and you can actually see it live. You can see it break off and be like, oh, I want to go here, I want to go here, and then it just comes off into one in the end, and then it just stops. And that's how I feel. That's how ADHD works. But yeah, I'm kind of I guess I've done enough. I can't. I mean, I could get back on track, but I think I've said enough to interest people to want to watch the next podcast. Oh, I remember. I wanted to read the potential guests. Well, one, I have the next guest. If I can get her on, she will be the next podcast after this one, and that's going to be my fiance's mother, my future mother-in-law. She is just trust me. Just trust me. She will do more talking on this podcast than I do. She is going to entertain. She is going to say controversial things. She's going to be interesting. She's going to be clever. She's going to show exactly what I talk about finding the balance, because this woman is a force. And that's all I need to say for you to want to watch the next episode. And that wasn't even a pitch, it's the fucking truth. And I hope she sees this, because she would appreciate it and say, you're goddamn right, I am. Anyway, that's the next episode if I can do it, and I believe I can. Let's see. So, lastly, we're going to look at the people who have responded. So, I posted on a Facebook group trying to find, this is how I need to find this. I need to go through my history. Here it is. Okay. Yeah, so I said, new directive. I want people who can talk about neuroscience, neurodiversity, brain functions, brain experts, empaths, neurodiverse individuals trying to make a difference. Oh, look, I forgot about that one. That's why I reached out to Carrie Magro. I didn't even think of that. I swear to God, when I reached out to him, I was just like, here's an autistic guy who talks to people about autism. Maybe he'll autistically want to get on my podcast and appreciate that marketability isn't always, as good as content. Healthy ways to live, supported by science proof. If I have you on my podcast, you better have science behind what you're saying, and you better be able to defend your position if you're trying to challenge one of my ideas. Because I believe that, I've weighed everything in my non-bias, and I have my beliefs, and I'm going to preach my beliefs. I'm going to preach that, my rules. I'm going to preach that if you're not focused on growing as a person, you're losing out on life. I have grown so much since last December when I shed my mask. Just try it for a week. I'm telling you, speak your mind, except at work. You have to mask at work. But once you get home, start letting those things that you tailor and lie to people about come out. It will make things better. You may even lose your relationship, but are you happy in that relationship if you have to lie all the fucking time? Of course not. See, this podcast could have just fixed so many relationships and so many lives if people just watch. In my opinion, if you don't think that's the case, come on my podcast and debate me otherwise. If you do think that's the case, start listening. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not yelling at people. This is how I feel inside. I just want people to listen. Is it that difficult to listen for an hour? I'm trying to keep it to 30, 40 minutes. I have behind the scenes where we talk for hours. My last behind the scenes went 3 hours and 40 minutes. I have something for everybody. If you want to dive deep, I'm deep. I will do a 24-hour podcast if there was a request for it. And you could just listen to me for 24 hours. And I think that sounds fucking awful because I can't stand me for more than 10, 15 minutes if I'm actually focused on doing something. So that's why a podcast is perfect for me because I recognize that about myself. I get way too much. I wish that I could be just enough for my fiance sometimes. Sometimes I'm too much. And I always try to find that line though. I'm working on that line, but I've reached a good one already. And we are in a great place, and sometimes she can come at me like an animal, but I know that that's just the pain. And that's forgiving. That's what you do. That's what you do when you love someone is you forgive. And that's why I say love is forgiveness. And nobody can convince me otherwise. Anybody else come on the podcast. I don't care, poets, whatever. Come on the podcast and convince me you have a better definition of love. And either I will be 100% open and honest because I want to be that's the thing that people don't understand, okay? I'm honest to a fault and I'm saying this. I want to be proven wrong. I want it. I want it so bad. But I don't think very many people have things out there that can still prove me wrong. All I need is more knowledge for myself to help more people. But I've already reached a point where I have plenty of knowledge. I just need people to start asking questions, honest questions. Why can't I be happy? How honest are you with yourself? When I snapped at that person, was that reasonable? When I asked to speak to this person's manager, was that necessary? Now I'm overwhelmed with emotions and I'm going to forget my train of thought. But I feel like I had a moment there. And that's what it's like to be me. And that's why I had my intro. And that's why we're going to wrap up soon. And I hope this is entertained. I hope this has shown people I'm a valid voice. Put me in the fucking mainstream. I want to talk to people. I want to talk to James Tallarico and show you why he's the next president of the United States for all people. Republicans will like what comes out of this man's mouth. I promise you. Ugh. Neurodiverse individuals trying to healthy ways to live supported by science, ways to reprogram your brain, tools for coping, common misconceptions, anything else related I missed. I want to talk about everything that makes us us and how we can hack our lives to find health and happiness as all good people deserve. DM me if interested, and we can discuss on my podcast, or I'd be happy to come hashtag be a guest on your podcast and discuss what I've learned as I try to grow myself and learn more. And so I I got 31 plus likes, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for me it is. I got so many DMs I couldn't keep track of them, and there are some. I already interviewed one of them, and it was amazing. That's what she was the one where she barely spoke. She was she. I'm gonna. I wish I could uh, see. I wish I could promote her right now. Her name is Dominique, and I don't remember her last name. She has a business. I'm sure she'll be fine. Go back and watch our episode. That's what you can do. That's your next TV recommendation. Is go back and watch. I guess I have to release. I have to release that episode. That'll be my next episode. Okay, there you go. Those will be my next 2 episodes. The one that I did with her and the one that I did the behind the scenes with her. So let's wrap up. And after but watch Ojai too. That's just a movie. You can do that. And then I got all these nice messages. Neurodiverse empath trying to make a difference here. I'm gonna DM you. Like, I want to talk to her. Oh my God, are you kidding me? That sounds amazing. I can't imagine the conversation we'll have because she has different corners of empathy than me. Maybe she can empathize with society and help me tailor my message so it makes more sense to people. And so I'm coming on too strong right now, just like I do in my podcast, or just like I do on my podcast, just like I do with my fiance. I get that. I'm not good at that. If you can overlook it, I feel like we'll have fun together. If you can't overlook it, I feel like that's your mistake and not mine. That's why I'm in your face, because I refuse to back down from you telling me who I can be. And that's my mantra. And I don't remember what I said there either, but I'll get it back because I recorded it. And I don't need to stop the podcast now because that might not mean as much to people as others it does. And I don't have to put a reminder on that because I'll remember that. I said something about my feelings of being honest and you shirking from that. There's nothing else honest out there. There's a lot of good entertainment. There's a lot of good marketability. There's a lot of good things that have convinced you of the way there's a lot of things out there that have convinced you that the way things are fine, but they're not. Okay? And I don't think anybody watching this, I don't think anybody in the world can argue with that statement. And if you want to, come on my fucking podcast, because we'll talk about religion. We'll talk about rape. We'll talk about assault. We'll talk about pedophilia. We're not going to shy away from those terms, okay? I'll get demonetized. That's fine, because I'm not going to censor myself for the benefit of people who are afraid of violent words, because they're made violent for a reason. When somebody is raped, you're taking away everything. You're a selfish person. Okay. This is coming from the deep empath. I'm telling you right now, you're selfish if you've ever thought of doing that in any other way other than a fantasy. A fantasy, and I've never done one, but that would be applicable if both parties were consenting. That's not okay for people to get upset about. What happens behind closed doors that doesn't threaten someone or is not consented upon is their fucking business. Okay. And that's what I would have to say about religion and many, many other things. But anything that tells you what to do with your body, like abortion, that's bullshit. Okay. Somebody's, you want to protect that fetus, that's fine. Then you raise it. Okay. You're responsible for it. The people who conceived it, the people whose genes it is, decide whether it comes in the world or not. And yeah, there are plenty of fucking miracle tales, but that's because how many fucking nightmares would there be if it wasn't there? We can't see those. How many serial killers and broken people have we protected society from with abortion? There's a fucking argument for you. So, I conclude, I have good things to say. I think that is an ironclad argument against abortion, if you're honest with yourself. If you don't bring religion into it, and I know most of you can't, but religion is your belief, not everybody's. And I'll end on this. And there is going to be a behind the scenes episode after this. You better fucking believe it. It'll take me a second to find it, but I've got it in here. Oh god, am I gonna forget which one I wanted to do? Oh no, I remember. Oh, that's right, because it's not in here. It's in my gallery. See, I got this. I got my systems in place. All right, doesn't even matter. Let's just go to camera. Is that it? Yep. The most dangerous form of blindness is believing that your only perspective is. I fucked it up. Erase, as my mom would enjoy. If you watch my podcast, Mom, you got to enjoy that. That was just for you. The most dangerous form of blindness is believing that your perspective is the only reality. Who said that? A little man by the name of Friedrich Nietzsche. And so your reality is your reality, but not everybody else's reality. If your reality forces other people to live your reality is flawed. And that's where I'll end it. Until our next conversation, and I look forward to finding the next piece in the puzzle. And I clicked leave instead of stop. Well, I feel like that was the best podcast I ever did. I covered abortion and literally something else. Cool. So I really just came on here to tell you that Oh Hi was a great movie. I didn't know I was going to go there. But let's talk about Oh Hi because I don't want to podcast anymore. That movie is so good. You guys will love it. I recommend it to everybody. I can't stress enough how much fun I had with that movie. I don't want to ruin any more for you. Just go watch it right now. Turn off this podcast. Go watch the movie Oh Hi. Or the next time you're ready to watch a movie, go watch it. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's do spoilers. Let's tell everybody right now. Go watch Oh Hi. If you don't watch Oh Hi, you can't listen to any more of this podcast, or I'll just spoil it for you. All right. So now that we're back, how'd you like Oh Hi? I hope you saw what I saw in it. Oh my God, it was funny. Holy shit. Let's go through it. Okay. Let me try to visualize it as I just watched it. So we start in the car and they're singing their beautiful song, Islands in the Stream. I'm just gonna not. I had a thought, but I'm not gonna even bother with it. It doesn't matter. It's just a reference to you know what? I'm gonna make the reference to Jason Lee because I respect that, and he was so good in The Residence, dude. I would talk to Jason Lee on the podcast and just tell him how much I respect his art and his ability and the characters that stand out in my mind. He plays. I loved him in this movie. Oh God, what was the name of it? It was something about like a wedding or a bachelor or something. I can't remember it, but I've watched that movie a dozen times. A Perfect Guy or no, it's I can't. All right, you know what? I gotta look it up. I'm just gonna look it up. Jason Lee IMDb because I can't not say it. I know what it is too. I've watched this movie so many times, and it's also a great comedy. This is one to put on your to watch list. Let's see. Where's Moon known for? No. Okay, here we go. Was it a guy thing? Oh, I think that's what it is. It's a guy thing. Yep. I figured it out before I found it. I wish I had been sharing because people are like, oh, that's staged or whatever. Is it a guy thing? He was in, oh, that's right. He was the lead in Almost Famous. God, what an amazing role. It is a guy thing. See, that's got 5.6 stars, but that's an amazing movie. It's so funny. It's absurd, but it's funny and it has a nice story about teaching you. Did I not end yet? Oh, I'm live. Oh, I'm looking at YouTube. I thought I was on the I thought I was still on the regular podcast for a second. I don't think anybody's watching me on live, but I've been live for an hour. And then TikTok may be live too. Oh yeah, I'm not looking. Let's see if TikTok's still live. Yep, unable to go live. All right, we'll go live again. That's fine. I don't need any more notes. All right, I don't know what happened with my first live on TikTok here. I apologize. I'm just recording a podcast and I had to look something up on my phone and then it closed it out. But I won't look up anything else unless it's super, super important for my podcast. And then my zero followers, my zero watchers can understand. Cool. So we handled that. All right. So a guy thing was awesome. But yeah, Jason Lee, I respect the shit out of you as an actor. And that's somebody who determines what good acting is. Brad Pitt, one of the best acting performances of all time in 12 Monkeys. Okay. I will fight anyone. I would tell anyone, because he embodied that character and he became that character more than Heath Ledger's Joker, even. Absolutely. Heath Ledger created a caricature. Brad Pitt created a real person. So, again, 1,000%. You can disagree, and I respect that. That's totally fine. But, so anyway. Oh, hi. So they drive and they see a sign. They get in a fight about the sign. He gets a call and he answers it and he says, "Hey, Mom. Oh yeah, I'm driving out to the country with Abby for 2 days or whatever her name is. I don't even remember her name now. But yeah, the anyway, he keeps it very ambiguous. Oh yeah, love you too, love you, love you. And I said right to my fiance, I was like, that wasn't his mom. And she's like, oh, you think so? And I was like, yeah, let me replay it. She's like, oh yeah, probably, yeah, I like that. And then they have the scene at the strawberries, and I was like, I think he fucked that strawberry lady. I think he chose to hit the thing so he could go back behind, have sex with her, and then have a funny story and get away with it. I want to speak to the writers. I wonder if they did that. I don't know if they did. I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but that's what I saw. Anyway, holy shit. Oh my God, they have the perfect weekend. It's so beautiful. Look at the lights. Look at we're dancing in the lake. Oh, we're making this wonderful meal and we're drinking and we're sexing and oh my God, he ate me out in the light. And it's just it's just so perfect. And then what happens? Oh, gentleman makes a mistake. Number one, okay? Gentlemen, if you watch this movie and learn nothing else, do not say things that you are going to regret while you are handcuffed or otherwise trapped. All right. That is my fair message to men from what I saw in that movie that you will not learn. You won't learn that lesson, but I learned that lesson. I already knew that lesson, but you need to learn that lesson because it could save your life one day, okay? This man could have ended up dead had he not played his cards right. And he did make mistakes, but he handled himself pretty darn well, I thought. So, anyway, um, let's see. Oh, yeah, we're talking about Ohio. Okay, so yeah, so they're so happy, everything's going so perfect, and then ties them up. Now, as she tries to explain how uncrazy she is, has she ever looked less crazy? Okay, but the point of it is that she is dealing with her fears. She is addressing who she really is as opposed to this beautiful, perfect, fancy, articulate, jokey, amazing person. That shit's exhausting when you get together with somebody, when you're pretending to be somebody you're not. Stop doing it. It doesn't help you. Find somebody who can appreciate the fact that you're done with bullshit because you know what? They'll be done with bullshit too. And that's who I found. But that's because we're done with different types of bullshit. And that's okay. But we still accept each other for the bullshit that we still give each other that we feel like isn't necessary because that's love, because we forgive. And so let me read you. You know what? I read that. I read the boundaries. No, I want to keep going on. Oh yeah, I can't. Well, there's nobody on TikTok, but yeah. So oh hi, holy cow, and it gets better. It keeps getting better. So she she's got him tied up, and she mentions about stabbing him. He rightly checks it, and he goes, fuck, I'm in mortal danger. This is no longer, and he immediately recognizes, yeah, you know what, 12 hours. 12 hours doesn't sound so bad. You said that 12 hours is the rule. I will hold you to 12 hours. That was the right decision. So she goes and she makes breakfast and runs to get the egg and everything. And it's cute and it's funny and awkward. And she makes him nice breakfast, and then it's all awkward. So then he gets her to start talking about her, which is her fear. But she does it because she has nothing else to lose. Somebody joined and immediately left. But the what are we doing? Hey, Jim Hastings. I'm just doing a live podcast here. Feel free to watch. So I'm talking about this movie Oh Hi on Netflix, and there are spoilers. So if you want to watch it, I'm just talking about the spoiler time right now. So my podcast does take precedence, but so she's got him tied up, and she won't let him out, and so obviously, he has to navigate this situation, and so he yeah, so he works with her, and then she decides to you, to not let him out because he refuses to acknowledge. Thank you for joining, Harley. I'm just doing a live podcast here. If anybody's here, yep. So everybody's free to watch. Just doing a live podcast. I can't keep saying that every time people come in, but let other people know if you're staying and watching. So anyway, I don't know how technology works. That's the whole thing on my podcast. I'm just trying to get my voice out there. I feel like I did a really good episode. I'll be posting it soon. It's called AutisticPod. Share it. It's all about life. I'm just trying to get my voice out there. And this is the part of the podcast where I'm talking about this movie that meant a lot to me. So the movie Oh Hi on Netflix, and I am giving spoilers. This is the last time I'll say that. Sorry, podcast viewers, but thank you for joining me now. It's TikTok. Okay, now that I've gotten the niceties out of the way. So the show Oh Hi, the movie Oh Hi. So it deteriorates. She keeps him locked up, and now he has to. During that time, he had to pee in the bucket, and it's gotten crazy. But they handled it in such a great way. They handled it in a way that kept it realistic, that kept it where the people were acting like they would had this happened in real life. And they handled it like these people had real traumas because the guy truly did have fear of commitment because he gave her the perfect weekend. She's right to hold him to that. She's not right to keep him locked up, but she is right to feel that way. And she just had the benefit of him being locked up so that he couldn't get away and had to face it. But then, it escalates. She elbows him, and now it's violent. Now she brings in her friend who's hysterical. They were great. And it just gets better from there. The conversation that Kenny had with Isaac, oh my God, where he talks about how our lizard brains have trauma, where he talks about, learning about hate. That's why you hate women, is because you attribute that to your trauma. You have associated that with that trauma, and so that's why you have those feelings. That's why you're afraid. That's why you had such a great time with me, and why you don't want a relationship, because you're afraid of commitment. That's your fear. Her fear was talking about herself. And then they have the dream sequence where you didn't know it was a dream, but everything turns out okay. He comes out and she's dancing and singing their song. They already have a song in 3 weeks. That's pretty clingy, but I mean, it's true. Why fight facts? They did have an amazing weekend, and man, was she an amazing person? Was he an amazing person? Why wouldn't they want to continue this? But he wants to continue to see other people because he thinks there's going to be something better out there. Man, you're at the peak right now. Enjoy it while you can. Fear of commitment is stupid. And this is the kind of thing I talk about on my podcast. This is the kind of thing that I get to when I dissect something, when I dissect a great movie like Oh Hi. is that fear of commitment is death. You have to take that out of the equation when you're dealing with in a relationship, because if you're afraid to commit, then it's going to bleed in, and it's going to make everything you're afraid of happen. You have to be honest with people. You have to share who you are up front. If you don't, your relationship will not last. I don't know if anybody's still here on TikTok. Thanks for joining. I'm just recording a live podcast, so feel free to share it, talk about it. I don't know. I'm trying to get my voice out there. I'm terrible at technology, so I don't know. I think people are just joining and unjoining when they see that I'm boring, but it is what it is. So yes, so the movie Ojai, and then at the end, I think I wrote. Okay, now I can read. Oh, yeah. Well, no, I can't. I wrote notes to myself, but I can't read them because they're on my phone, which is doing TikTok. So I'll leave it open on the off chance that there are still people in here, because people have joined. So that's see, and that's knowledge. This is me trying to learn technology. This is me trying things because I don't want to use it as an excuse. I want to learn everything I can, but it's very difficult for me. I know there are people out there that are maybe even neurodivergent that can appreciate my voice, but know that my technological brain is empty, because I'm all empathy, I'm all emotions, I'm all helping people see what's really going on. And that's what I want to do on my podcast. That's what I want to get society on a better path. I have rules to life that can help people. This is going to be another clip here, because sometimes I can't verbalize all this stuff and explain why you should listen to my podcast. But there it is. So, and now now I've kind of run out of room, because I don't want to have to explain anymore why people want to listen to my podcast. I just want to talk. But when I have to focus on that, I really have to put everything into it. We were talking about Ojai. Yeah, I can kind of remember. I have a very bad memory for anybody here in TikTok, or YouTube if anybody's joined, because I'm live on there too. But yeah, for Ojai, at the end, his fear of commitment is literally physically stopped, and he has to face it, and that's why he's crying underneath the rock, and he's having that epiphany that it is on me. I am afraid, but that's not my fault either. I'm not who you want. Okay, we can have a good time, but I don't want what you want. And she accepts that. And that is the truth. That's what happens in some relationships. But anything else that comes down to it is just because of your failures and traumas. And failures means that you haven't addressed your issues. It means you refuse to be honest with yourself and say, I was part of this relationship, and so I was part of why it failed. Unless it was just an abusive person, you gave everything, that's definitely there. And now we get back to my rules, because I have rules to live by in life. And rule number 4 is distance yourself from violent, ignorant, selfish people. There are plenty out there, trust me. I am not saying that everybody's a good human being. Absolutely not. Anybody who's smart enough to follow my other rules will be able to keep themselves protected and safe and happy, because they follow rule 4. Distance yourself from violent, ignorant, selfish people, and don't take anything they say to heart, because they are hurt deeper than anyone. Okay? That's the truth. Donald Trump is a broken, hurt man. And he makes up for it by having to tell himself that he is the best person on the planet, over and over and over and over. We've seen it. We saw South Korea give him the crown that was, for, I don't remember the exact, but people who know the reference. We saw, we see how easy it is to manipulate him. Just coddle him. Just say, you're the man. You're in charge. So that's how you would deal with Donald Trump, is just convince him that he's in charge, but don't tell him what's really going on. Because he already has his own belief of what's going on. But I don't want to get into politics either. Anyway, So we're podcasting live. Thank you for joining us. We're just kind of riffing it. We're just talking about what comes on. We were talking about a movie, Oh Hi, a second ago. That's amazing Netflix movie. I highly recommend it. It's one of the best movies I've seen in a long time because it talks about relationships, but it's real talk. It actually has real lessons, which I went over in my behind the scenes on my podcast, which will be released, but it was also live. So I can't look at any of my notes that I write to read on my podcast. So let's just go off the dome. I don't want to talk about. Well, I mean, we can kind of talk about social media. I'm done with social media. Social media doesn't respond to somebody like me. Social media. I asked ChatGPT just the other morning about social media that's owned by Meta, by the way, and it had things to say about it. It was like, yeah, that's not fair. And yes, you do have a case if you wanted to try and show that your voice is being held back because of what you have the small information that you have shown me does show me that your posts are not being treated the same way as other people's posts because of the content, because they have mislabeled you as harmful or dangerous or whatever, because I talk about how people can actually feel better about themselves. I talk about how people can actually solve things, not just platitudes. I'll tell you what, I got some live viewers. I'm going to read my, oh damn it, I can't. It's on. Oh, you know what? I could do it on my see, that's how bad I am. I forgot that I could read my poem on my freaking laptop for a moment. See, I can't put anything together, but I can have content. All right, where's the poach? Here we go. All right, so I have to read my boundaries poem first for my love poem to make sense. Boundaries. Nothing is more important. Boundaries protect your known or unknown traumas, your pride, your peace, and your fears. Boundaries are like fingerprints. No two are alike. Our boundaries reflect our minds, our experiences, and our dreams. Boundaries, though, like everything else in life, require balance. If your boundaries are too strong, no one can ever know you, and you'll feel alone, bitter, and hateful. If your boundaries are too weak, you will be used, manipulated, and easy to forgive. Your boundaries decide your future, your fate, and your love. Choose wisely. And that's my poem about boundaries. And when I say easy to forgive, I mean you'll forgive someone else, not that people will forgive you, just to clarify. I think I may need to mess with that, but because when I read it, I could hear how people could misinterpret that. And I'm so used to being misinterpreted because I'm autistic. That's why my podcast is called AutisticPod, and I'm self-diagnosed autistic. Oh my God, I must be an enemy to regular diagnosed autistics. Not really, but there is a sect of people that do that, and that is insane to me. Anyway, let's do the poem about love. Love is not easy, despite what greeting cards and some books and songs tell you. Love is what you're willing to forgive. And the world is short on forgiveness nowadays. Hence why we see more hate than love. I used to think love was a lie because of all the platitudes, everlasting at first sight, you can't choose who you love, unbreakable. I'm here to tell you, whether you believe me or not, that's all garbage. Love is work. When you love someone, you know them better than you know yourself. You'd rather suffer for days than see them suffer for minutes. Love is knowing you're right, but holding your tongue, because being right isn't worth hurting your loved one. Love is honesty. If you aren't honest with people you love, you don't love them more than you love yourself. Love is putting someone above you, and many people seem to be incapable of that, which is why I believe you don't find success in love. If you want to love, and if you want love in your life, honest, real, beautiful devotion, you have to be willing to leave your ego at the door and share yourself with the person you choose, because there are no soulmates, at least in my book. I used to believe the woman I loved was my soulmate, but that's just another literary lie. Woo woo. I didn't put that, but I'm taking a break. She's my chosen one. I choose her above all others because of everything she is, warts and all. If you want love, real love, it's quite simple. Can you love a person more than yourself? Not just say the words, but actually show it. Because anyone can say words, but actions and choices speak louder. And to anyone who's been hit, beaten, cheated on, assaulted, or otherwise attacked or manipulated, you must always remember it is the love you feel for yourself that determines what you are willing to forgive. So if you haven't forgiven yourself, you can forgive nearly anything. And for you, love is someone who hears, listens to, and respects your boundaries. So those two are kind of connected, the boundaries and the love. But those are my two poems that I wrote recently. And yeah, so there's those. I think I did a good podcast. I would love to stay live on TikTok, but I haven't seen any messages. I don't see any numbers. I don't know if anybody's live. I don't know. But yeah, if you are, go watch my podcast. Maybe I can think of something else before I turn. Oh, well, yeah, I got another show for you to watch that I want to talk about. Minx. It's a show on Netflix that is about a woman in the 70s who's a Vassar graduate who has all this feminism and she wants to save the world from men, and she's trying to create a magazine. She has publishing experience, writer. So she goes to this publishing expo. The only person that will talk to her is a pornographer. And so he ends up convincing her that if you put these pictures in with male genitalia, then we'll print your magazine. And hijinks ensues from there because it is wonderfully written, wonderfully acted, wonderfully cast, wonderfully real show. And it's set in the 70s, but I mean, it's about sexual liberation. It's about the truth of how women have been held down all their lives, and about how men talk over them, and about how this and that. These are the things I talk about on my podcast, people. I don't think there's anything else out there in town that'll cover these topics, but we should. No, we just want to post a random post that says, oh, men are awful, or women are awful, or I hate this person, or Trump is awful, and then just go about our day and not actually change anything. That's why my first rule in life is to grow as a person every day. If you're not growing, then you're not learning. If you're not learning, you're not adapting. And if you're not adapting, you're a jerk to a lot of people. I mean, that's basically it. That's basically what it comes down to. I've done a whole podcast here where I've been, recording my thoughts and talking about movies and talking about my feelings, talking about my memory, talking about autism. And, there's nothing else out there like it. And I'm tired of having to justify that to people. I don't know how to get my voice out there. I'm trying everything within my capability, but it's difficult for an old fart like me. But I feel like I have good things to say. And so I keep recording and I keep finding out more. I've had guests on the podcast where we talked about neuroscience. We talked about this. I've learned so much already, and I want to learn more. Like I said, I want people who, believe what they say to come on my podcast, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what's possible. There you go. See, I think I had a guy for a second there in TikTok, but nope, no one wants to listen. This could go 2 hours now because I just want to talk. Oh, you know what? I never got to Matt and Sharon. You know what? Fuck it. I'll go back to that. I remember now. And I'll use you guys' names. You don't care. You said I could before. So, I was talking, I don't have to remind you, for the listeners, this was the story that I was talking about, going to the two people. One has the autistic daughter. Yes. Okay. So if you forgot, go back to the episode, give me another view and find it. I can't. So They're together 5 years, and my friend, the woman, uh, is just she loves him. She wants to give him her future. She believes that he can protect her daughter. She believes that he is physically pleasing. I imagine. She believes that he is aesthetically pleasing, and she believes that she can uh, take his worst if his worst isn't that often. There's another thought. How often is your worst? There's a new thought. Remind me of that, somebody. We can talk about that on a podcast. I could do a whole episode on that. How often is your worst? But I don't want to right now, and I don't want to lose my train of thought. So, uh, and then he has to ask himself what he wants. If he's watched Oh Hi already, are you going to find better? Can you forgive yourself and allow yourself to be happy? Because I think you guys were happy, but it's on you. It's up to you. If you want to be with her, you got to listen. And that's just my message. You're my buddy. I mean, we don't know each other that well, but I mean, you responded so strongly to my podcast, and we've had a few conversations. And other than the chicken sandwich, we never had a big issue. But let a chicken sandwich go every now and again, man. That's gonna make some people, uh, you know, worried. And so if it's that important to you, I get it. I have things like that too. Everybody has their preferences. Everybody has the things that they make, what's the word? Uh, just in importance. I can't think of a better word than that. There's bad ADHD. But yeah, because I'm trying to remember the thoughts, see, and then I just lose it altogether. But I remember where we're. I mean, I've kind of covered it. It's this is said from the heart to two people, and if that's my opinion, take it as you will. What else can we talk about? If anybody's in TikTok or anybody's on YouTube, give me a topic. We could talk about. I already talked about Ohio. Oh, let's talk about Pluribus. Yeah, I think I was going there. That's right. Let's talk about Pluribus. Pluribus is an amazing show. Oh my God. Like I said, for people who have watched Rick and Morty, it's just like Unity, but the person who we follow is a drunk. She has like a breathalyzer on her thing because she's a person of wealth. She writes terrible romance novels that she hates. She's a lesbian, but it's not shoved in your face. And I say that with fairness because some of them are. Everybody doesn't need to be a lesbian. This is fine in this because they make great use out of it, and it makes much more sense when she's a lesbian, but it doesn't have to be every time. I love how quickly people leave my live stream. They join and then immediately they're gone. It's so great. But yeah, so this show is unbelievable because basically what it explores is blissful happiness better than individuality? That's what it comes down to. That's what the show comes down to because it's us, Unity, is trying to change every single person on the planet. It's a biological imperative. They say, and I don't think this is giving anything away, but they say okay, once again, spoiler alert, if you're worried about watching Pluribus and you haven't yet, don't watch this next part until you do. They say that it's a biological imperative, and they say that they don't know how it works. That's what I wanted to say. They say they don't know how it works. It just does. And they're just so happy. And they just will give her a, oh, okay. No, I'm not going to say that. Not going to say that. Well, that is on the thing, but yeah, it's fine. Just go watch the show. Just go watch the show and then go watch my show, hopefully, that my ADHD has allowed me to create Pluribus. And you know what? Maybe that's just what that is what I want to go do. So thanks everybody for watching. And I hope you join me again on my next attempt to put a piece in the puzzle. That's my new vision. The world is a puzzle, and every single person is a piece. And the more pieces we can put in place, the more things we can figure out about life, about emotions, about how we treat each other, about how we can make ourselves happier, is a great thing. I lost my train of thought already, but I feel like that's a great place to end it, because I don't need to remember how I said it, because it's how I feel. Put together the puzzle, etc., etc., and everybody take care of yourselves, and I mean that. Take care of yourself. Don't worry about bumping into something, or don't worry about, just take care of your brain. Ask your brain, you're the reason I'm unhappy. What are we doing wrong? Because you have free will. You can choose whatever you want to choose. I am happy that I am in a, bedroom right now that's dirty, that I'm sitting on the floor, because I have made all the focus and energy that I can onto the things that matter to me. And so I can take that. It's not a big deal. That's why I'm able to be honest with myself and, fucking deal with the things that I'm not good at, like cleaning and doing those things, and maybe marketing. And, I could try to learn about it, but it's incredibly, just not my thing. I've never gotten along with people. That's why nobody wants to stay in my life. That's why people don't know about my podcast. But I believe if they listen to it as a whole, they would see that I'm a good show. And I don't know what else to say. But that's what I think my appeal is. But honestly, if you ask me, instead of what I'm trying to market, I'm real, I'm honest, and there's nothing else like me out there. And I'm going to tell you shit about yourself that you don't want to be true, but it fucking is. And I'm not judging people. I have my rules. Okay. For newcomers, let's discuss the rules briefly, because if you're new to this show, see, I'm trying to think outside. I'm trying to think, people, if they're new, they haven't seen the rules. So let's talk about the rules. So, rule one, as I've said, is grow. I think this is the meaning of life, people. I'm over here talking about the meaning of life, in my opinion, on TikTok, and nobody's listening. But somebody dancing, or somebody going, yay, thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, thank you for. That's what we want as entertainment, instead of somebody who is asking us, how can we be happier? If that makes you happier, you need my podcast, because you're missing out on life. If everybody treated the way people that I say in my rules, even the ignorant, violent, selfish people that will always be, I wouldn't do a podcast. It's that simple. Because this is what I see. This is what I see I can benefit society with. So the meaning of life is to grow. You're born, holy shit, I've never reached this. Think about when you're born. How tiny are you? You're beyond infinitesimal. You're a paramecium when you're born. But you do what? You grow. It's not just about physical growth. It's about emotional growth. It's about challenging your biases and your built-in traumas and everything. It's about becoming the best person that you can be that makes you the happiest. That's the key thing. It's not about just just open, because some people can't do that, and I respect that. Trust me. I live with a person who wants everything else in the world other than that, and I accept that because the the risk absolutely outweighs the reward. There's practically very guaranteed reward and absolutely insane amount of risk, as in, just making them miserable, making them hate me. And I accept that. That's okay. But for anybody who isn't like that, come on my podcast and let's talk, because I will help you learn more about yourself than you might know. And I believe that because I've grown. And that's the first thing I can help you with. How did you grow today? You don't need to write it down. And I wish I could. If I was more autistic in that way, I absolutely would. I would have the proof. I would show you, this is what I learned today. This is what I learned today. But I don't want to do that. So I'm not gonna. And that's what I learned today. It's my choice to do it my way. Boom. That's a note. Sorry, no TikTok subscribers. I'm super autistic in emotions. I can see them as data and can prove them, and it's my choice to do it my way. What notes? Wow. Absolutely. All right. You stayed with nobody. All right. So the meaning of life: grow. You grow. We grow physically, but you also grow mentally. We learn in school. We learn not to. I did this thing for kids, but adults need to hear it too. We used to shit in diapers. We don't know well enough until we're taught. We're still babies, people. We just grew, but we have the minds that we had when we were babies. We've just taken in all the experiences, all the stimuli, whether our parents were fighting in front of us or loving each other. That was our reality. That was what our brain grew at. That's what it grew around, what it grew under, what it based everything on. And so, if you know your parents fight, understand that about yourself and explore it if you're capable. It will make you a happier person. It will make you just a more capable person. So that's what I have to say about that. That's what I mean. Grow every day. It's the meaning of life. Become a better person. I have I don't even recognize this person, and neither does my fiance at sometimes, and she gets mad at it. She's like, did I didn't sign up for this, man. Um, but that's the thing I'm trying to juggle. I'm trying to be this person on a podcast and then be the person that is absolutely loves just turning my brain off and chilling with my favorite person. And so that's not too much to ask. So anyway, yeah. Okay, so grow. Yeah, see, when it's written down, I could do it. All right, so we're gonna grow. Best way to do this that I found: surround yourself with people who challenge you and present new ideas. Life is about learning, adjusting, and doing better. 2, personal accountability, compassionate accountability specifically. And I learned this by growing, by talking to somebody who came on my podcast, and we talked about emotions. And she specified that compassionate ability is seeing your own behavior from a lens of compassion and empathy. You have to say, if I treated someone this way, how would I respond? And if you would respond worse than they responded, you should be grateful. And that's another clip. Just put me in front of a microphone and let's start talking about life. I want to talk to guests. I want to talk to, like I said, I'll talk to James Tallarico and make it an amazing interview. And I think he'd be honest because I saw him, they were trying to assassinate his character because he followed an OnlyFans person or something. That's that makes him clearer in my eyes because he's not afraid. I mean, that's just like Jesus did. But didn't Jesus let the whores in a temple or something? I don't fucking know. This is it's fucking. I feel like he did something like that, and that's what conservatives are like. Oh, look at this guy. He's terrible. No, he's more like Jesus than you. That's why you don't like him because he actually practices what he preaches instead of just preaches it and then worries about making money. And that's how I feel about that. And I could do 10 episodes on that. We could just bring on political experts and point out all the ways that that they've been stealing from the American people, that they've duped them into thinking that they are for them when all they're doing is just making money in prisons. And I'm not educated enough to talk about this, but there are a lot of people that are, and I will bring them on my podcast. We will talk about it, if they'll talk to me, if I have eyeballs. So it's really up to you guys. I've had the chance to make as many pleas as I want. This is just going to be the plea episode. That's what this is going to be. This is going to be This is a Podcast. Give it a try. That's the name of the episode. This is a podcast with it on. Yeah, we'll figure it out. It might not be exactly that. I'll probably want a keyword in there or something like autistic or whatever. I mean, it's in my name, but I don't know how these fucking keywords work. So, probably hurts that it doesn't search autistic. It search AutisticPod. Maybe I don't know. See, and now I've gone into my denial phase. Now I've gone into my beat myself up phase. Now I've gone into, I post interesting things on social media that are interesting, and everybody who sees it, that isn't completely lost, likes it, but so few people see it. And that's where I said, I asked ChatGPT about a potential lawsuit against Meta for false advertising, and they gave me some information. And so, I mean, they agreed. They were like, yeah, yeah, Meta, they own us, and yeah, we agree. So yeah, it was crazy. But them's the breaks. Like I said, I'm adaptable, I'm capable, I'm more than my weaknesses. I'm going to find the way. I'm going to find the way to get my voice out there. And all I can do is just turn on this microphone, turn on this lamp, because I don't even have one of those ring lights. I plan to get a better microphone soon. I hope I can. But I've worked in a while, and my fiance wanted me to wait until I had worked, and that makes sense. So this will do for now. But yeah, I'm just a guy recording on the floor who wants to do a podcast. I could do a 10-minute podcast a day. I could do a 30-minute podcast 2 times a week. I could do a 2-hour podcast every week. Just leave a comment. Tell me what you want. I don't know, man. I don't know. I see people watch things and they don't comment every time. I put out on social media, share if you like this. I get a like, not a share. We don't. What are we doing? Let's talk. Let's talk. We need to talk. And that's what my podcast is for. We need to talk. Maybe that's the name. I think I'm breaking up with them. I'm sure that podcast's name is taken. But we do. And I have interesting things to say. So come on the podcast, be entertained by me, and find out what the next thing is I'm going to say. Find my guests. Watch the podcast, watch this podcast. Obviously, you have, unless you're a TikTok watcher right now. I had one for a minute, but now they're gone again. So yeah, it's fun. But yeah, I'm gonna keep plugging away because, as I've said many times, and as I mean, because I don't speak, dishonestly. I I believe in what I say. I believe that shit. I think I lost it again. And that's what the beginning of the podcast was about. Was my memory. I was just gonna say, I mean, my honesty is my downfall, basically, and I believe that that my podcast is entertaining and has general and has actual potential to change people's minds and to make people's lives better. And I don't know how else to say it. Just this is what I'll end on. Okay. I've been trying to reach the whole time, and I'll say it real quick. If if you liked my podcast and you don't know why, or you have a question about anything I said, or you were offended, leave a comment and I will answer. And I will answer honestly. I'm not just going to put, "Oh, thanks for listening." I will talk about the content of what you talk about, because that's what every single other person doesn't do when they're dishonest. Is they don't talk about the content of somebody's item. They talk about their biases and their assumptions. And that is what I want to point out. And that is what I want to help change, because that is what creates the majority of misunderstandings and arguments in this world. And if I could do that, I would help so many autistic people. And that is the deepest root of my podcast that I've ever gotten to. And if anybody can appreciate that, please leave a fucking comment, please. Thank you. I love you. I'm just I want this podcast to work, but I need viewers. I'm going to keep bringing guests on. I'm going to keep, I'm going to keep trying things because I enjoy the podcast, but it would really be nice if I could start getting viewers, because that's what the podcast is all about. It's about being seen. It's about getting in front of people, and it's about saying, "I know I make you uncomfortable, but we need to have this conversation anyway, and I'm going to give you 4,800 different reasons why." So, thanks for watching. If you did, I'm going to put out there on every feeler that I can. This is the episode I want people to watch to decide if they want to start watching my podcast. If you don't, never listen to me again. If you do, please follow, like, share, subscribe, all of that junk. Trust me, being neurodivergent is fraught with its own difficulties. The memory, the feelings of like you're being arrogant or sell just by saying your true belief. Why can't I be one of the best people to talk about emotions to? I mean, if you're religious, there was a Jesus Christ. There was a person there was a person who built the atom bomb. There was a person who painted the Mona Lisa. There was a person who built the Empire State Building. Obviously multiple people, but there was a person who thought it up. There was a person who thought up Pluribus, Vince Gilligan, who is my hero. I wish I had the writing ability. I wish I had a fraction of the writing ability he has. Oh my God. And Ray Seahorn, I found out how to say her name because I saw her on Jimmy Kimmel. It was your performance is astonishing. You were amazing in Better Call Saul, but you being the lead on this, you are absolutely taking this piece of material to where it could go and more. Your performance, along with Vince Gilligan's writing and whoever else was involved. I'm sorry, I'm not that deep, but whoever wrote this story and makes the photographic choices, because a lot of people, layman people, don't see that side of it. But for people who do, Vince Gilligan, you are an artist. all of the different camera angles you get with like off sunglasses and off this, off a toaster and this and that and everything, and the way you show something and you don't know exactly what it is at first sometimes, and the way you pull in and just come in on an inanimate object, and then and the angles, and I can't say why it works, but I'm so spellbound when I watch. And so thank you, if this ever gets to you, which I'm sure it won't. But I appreciate anybody who's been here for the podcast. I don't want to keep going on and on. I just want to do a podcast. That's why that was the original hashtag. Hashtag I just want to do a podcast. I tried to, I thought it was clever. I thought it was just, okay, it's a podcast. I'll try it. But it's very hard to get out there. So I think I'm just going to have to make money at the insurance gig and spend a lot of money on marketing to get my face in front of people, because otherwise I don't see how I can get in front of people. But I'll try to clip the shit out of this, and we'll see what happens. Hey, somebody stayed in for the whole time on TikTok. Hello, person who didn't leave. You just missed me do a whole live podcast where I'm, just talking about, and they're gone. Anyway, you can't you can't break through sometimes. You don't know who falls into rule 4. And I tell you what, if people start following my rules, I feel like I'm going to find out that there's a lot more 4s than I think there are, and they're just pretending. But you have to ask yourself, what's being a rule 4 getting you? I mean, if you're watching my podcast at this point, you're not a rule 4 unless this has come across, unless this has, been shared, unless this meant something to someone, unless people made it viral. But I really don't see that happening. I wish I did. I've tried. So, but you're not a 4. If you are, stop being violent, ignorant, and selfish. Start thinking about what you do. Think about, count to 10 before you act. Fucking ask a question if you get mad at somebody before you jump down their throats. If you're, a meathead that wants to get into fights all the time. Dude, nobody cares how strong you are. It's cool. You look good. You have a good physique. Women will like it. You don't need to beat everybody up. You don't need to feel like you have to assert your dominance because you weren't hugged enough, or because because you're afraid of commitment, or because et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whatever the trauma that you won't acknowledge is, that is. Oh, it's only been 55 minutes, so I can keep going. See, I was on YouTube and I saw that I was live for an hour, but I forgot I recorded the first episode. Yeah. So, but as I mentioned, I do want to do other podcasts too. I want to do a whole podcast on Pluribus. I have the information. I can go episode by episode, and then we can go from there. We can do a weekly episode, and I can even do, an episode where we talk about everything we've learned, or, I love that show. I think that's going to be one of the best television shows ever made. No pressure, Vince Gilligan, but aside from Severance, the shows, Apple TV is bringing it. Apple TV is the best entertainment source, bar none, out there. They've had some great shows. Not just, Shrinking. There's other stuff, but my ADHD can't bring them up right now. But Severance, Pluribus, Shrinking, those are all amazing shows that teach you these things. Okay, this is the last thing I'm going to leave you with, because this is the most important thing. Because I had this conversation with my fiance, and she never saw it this way. Okay. When I watch a television show like Shrinking that's about legitimate therapy advice, it's not written by writers, it is actual, real therapy advice for people. And you see the therapist outside of the office and how they think this, and then this is how they interact in their own life. You can learn things from this. You can learn you don't have to be perfect to understand emotions. You can learn that you can try too hard, that you can smother people with emotions, as I've learned many times over, and as I'm trying to adjust, as I said earlier. But you can learn these things from television and movies if you pay attention. That's where all my growth was. That's where all my knowledge comes from. Well, that's not true at all. But I mean, my emotions, again, I see that's going to come off wrong. It's going to be like everything's based on television, and it's not. It's based on logic, it's based on data. But you can learn the basics of it and want to explore more and find more about it and learn from neuroscientists and everything of through those experiences and through that example. So when you watch shows like Shrinking, when you watch shows like Pluribus, where they talk about your emotions and they talk about how being happy is better than individuality. That's what the show is about. That's what they're trying to convince Carol of, and that's what they need to convince Carol of because of their biological imperative. I remembered her name. I think that's her name. Pretty sure. Oh yeah, because they say it 8 million times. See, it's burned into my brain because they say it over and over again. But yeah, so that's what it boils down to. And it's so interesting, but there's so much more to it. There's so much interesting, and I bet you the writers know exactly where they went every time, but I bet you that I might even have observations that could surprise the writers that I determined that they didn't intend, maybe. But regardless, you know, oh, I have an ad apparently. Oh, my live will end in 5 minutes. Okay. I okay, I've been inactive. There you go. See, I have to be activating with I have to do a puzzle. There's nothing screw this. I'm off TikTok. Want to worry about that shit. All right, so um nobody was there. So yeah, live TikTok isn't the answer. Learn that. You got to interact, and that never happened when I'm recording a podcast. And I asked people on TikTok. I was like, I think I want to record my podcast live. You think that's a good idea? Like, yeah. And then, oh, look, people just jump in and jump out immediately because, oh, this guy isn't interacting with me. I need the confirmation that they're listening to me. Wow. If that's not telling, just saying, this is the kind of thing that I'm talking about, guys. That's not healthy. I don't need you to watch my podcast as long as you can agree with my rules or teach me better ones. That's it. If every single person watches this podcast and goes, "Oh, okay, so yeah, if I write down these 9 rules and live by them, that does make sense how my life would get a little better if I held true to them." Because if I'm being honest with myself, I don't grow every day. I'm not honest with myself, so that's why I'm not going to say this in the first place. But I don't hold myself accountable. Da 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 da. Ask yourself tough questions. This is why you're unhappy, is because you lie to yourself, and that's what Oh Hi shows. Watch the movie. That's why I said it. So yeah, that's where we were. That's where we went. Um, I am excited to interview my future mother-in-law. That is going to be an amazingly entertaining episode on you guys' side, just from an entertainment standpoint. That's a podcast that could even usurp my boringness. So uh, I'm excited for that. And then beyond that, I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my day. I've said what I wanted to say. Basically, I'm sure I had a few more notes. Let's see if there's any other notes because I'm in a zone right now. I'm falling out of it a little bit, but let's see here. Until TV, I read that. Yeah, okay. So I said, oh, I should be required watching. Read that. Getting seen on social. Read that. Oh, okay. So I said she confronted her fear of talking about herself, and he confronted his fear of intimacy in the dream when it was perfect and singing "Islands in the Stream." It can be that easy when you face your demons and love. Choose to forgive. Notice how that works. Notice that's why I say love is what you're willing to forgive. And an autistic person just defined love better than any poet ever did, but I don't think people can appreciate it. And I got more. But talk to me about love is what you're willing to forgive. Come up with a better with a better definition. Come on my podcast. Anybody who has a better definition. That's where I'll end it. Because I want you to be the next episode, even before the person, my future mother-in-law. So I can't think of anything else to say that would top that. So come on my podcast if you think you have a better definition for love. If you don't have a better definition for love, I just gave you a better definition for love. Do you think that's kind of valuable? No. Maybe I just created a new viewer. I hope so. Because I don't want to talk about any more about how much I have to give. I feel like I've proven it. I can give you things you're never going to get anywhere else. I'm not going to preach to you. I'm not going to tell you that I have all the answers. I'm going to follow your lead if you get in early and actually contribute. If you get I have had multiple people give me people. I've had multiple podcasts where I came on their podcast most recently. They haven't been released yet because it takes months to get podcasts out. But the one with Pete versus anxiety, he has a great podcast where he talks about anxiety and emotions and people with these traumatic stories. And one of the ones he's going to have is this person who helped write this song with this girl who's 12 years old who apparently committed suicide. And I know that sounds scary, but don't you owe it to that girl to hear her story? That's empathy. And that's where I'll end the show. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope we can put together another piece of the puzzle. Okay, here's a short behind the scenes because I feel like that was very valuable. And that's the deepness that I feel if I made you feel that for just a moment. That's how I feel all the time. Maybe you can't feel it. That's okay. It's a brain thing. It's physical. You should feel it. You should feel that a 12-year-old shouldn't be ending it all. Everybody around her has lost a person in this life at 12 years old. Who could she have been? Could she have been the next, Mark Zuckerberg or whatever? We'll never know. I just saw a 15-year-old who's got the doctorate in over in Sweden. I mean, my goodness. And I posted, I wonder if they're neurodivergent, because neurodivergency is the future. I'm awkward. I'm blunt, but I have good things to say. And I can't turn it off. I feel like I'm spitting fire. People tell me that they like my podcast, but it doesn't get out there. And so it gets frustrating. But I don't want every podcast to just be me proving how awesome I am. I don't want any other podcasts to go down that rabbit hole. I just want to do my podcast, but I feel like I have to sell myself for people to watch. And if you aren't listening to my contents, and if you're not feeling anything, ask yourself why. Ask yourself, is that good? Shouldn't you feel something when a 12-year-old has ended it all after they wrote a song about life as they see it? I mean, that's something that makes us humans. Empathy. All this bullshit about empathy's the devil. Fuck you. You're wrong. I proved it in my podcast by defining love, by, showing how you can set boundaries and be happier in your lives with empathy. Empathy helps society. Greed helps the rich. There's another one. There's another slogan. Another mindset. That's why the rich are so afraid of empathy, because empathy is what tells you that somebody shouldn't be a billionaire. Because the only way people become billionaires, as I spoke on another podcast, is by cheating people. Very rarely will someone who, has an invention become a billionaire. People who own the color blue, or friggin' people who stole from others, who were like, no, this is not something that society needs, this is something that I need success from. Those people are billionaires, and they had children, and those children brought on their traits and were taught by the billionaire how to benefit with those traits: manipulation, theft, fucking probably murder. I mean, that one's aside. I don't want to get into an argument about that. Sure, nobody ever killed anybody over money. Okay. Anyway, but that's it. I mean, it's genealogical. And so they're afraid of empathy because empathy is their enemy. Who would want their supporters to have empathy when they're putting people in cages for 70 days that didn't do anything? Because Google it. It happened. It happens every day. We have become a disgusting society. Okay? Let's just call it what it is. I don't care if you're Republican, you're Democrats, they are pulling people off the street and out of courts and off their jobs with no proof. Show me proof. That's called a warrant. That's called legal precedence. There's a reason that much smarter people than you drew up all these laws. And sometimes we change the laws, but we haven't changed this one. You need a reason to take away someone's rights. You need a reason to take them off the street. They are dangerous. They are criminals. And if you want to give them if you want to follow them around and give them citations and have them go to court because they're illegal, fine. But you don't kidnap them with a unidentified, the person who is physically assaulting these people and having no jurisdiction. There are videos of people in ICE hitting people in Chicago. There was a video. Google it. There's a video. You know what? Fuck it. I'll share it right now. Let's pull it up. Nobody's going to look at it, so let's share it. Let's show it to everybody. See if we can find it. All right, everybody. Nobody's fucking watching. Okay, that's YouTube Studios. There we go. All right, so we're going to this one, I think. No, it's the live streaming. There we go. Okay, so we're going to search Ice, Chicago, car wreck, car crash. Here it is. Nope, not that one. Nope, there's too many. Shocking ice assault goes viral. See, I searched car wreck, but oh, there's just too many. Oh my goodness. Yes, I think this is it. This is somebody commenting on it, but 8 minutes. Here we go. I think this was the one I saw. This is it. There's the ICE agents. They got their weapons drawn at the person that they clearly ran into. And look at these people getting out with weapons drawn. This is our America. This is not right. And they're arresting her. What did you do? She shouldn't be resisting now. She shouldn't be resisting. That's the one mistake. That's the one mistake. You just need to stop resisting. They have the benefit. That's my opinion. I know people disagree, but that's what attorneys tell you. See, this is not scripted. This is not acted. You can't make this up. Listen to all these people recording. Listen to all the people behind it. If that's fake, that is amazing. They should get an Oscar for that. There's no way that that was faked. Okay, let's just fucking stop being silly. And so that was real. So we can understand that that happened. That could happen to you if you're brown, and be lucky that you're not. Because if you're brown and you get into a car accident with an ICE person, oh, you're going to if it with an ICE vehicle, you could go to jail. You could be assaulted by masked men with automatic weapons. Does that sound like America? Maybe I should just release this podcast and then show what led up to it. That's what I'll do. Thanks for joining us on Autistic Pod. Hope you enjoy the other episodes where I talk about movies, my memory, and others. But yeah, that's going to be the episode. Thanks. Puzzle piece.